Hi, it's John and welcome to the channel. It is Friday, March the 7th, 4:17 a.m. with the big blue mug of coffee. And my fellow Albertans and those of you who call yourself Canadians. As you know, there is an imminent threat in our country. Danger is on the horizon. It's there daily. And the threat is coming to a head very soon. This is a threat so large that it could tear apart the very fabric of your country, Canada, and it could doom my province of Alberta, the place I call home. And I think you're fully aware of this threat, and the threat is the man you're seeing on the screen right now. I'll bet you were thinking of somebody else, weren't you? I'll bet you were thinking of the guy you see on the screen right here, Donald Trump. Now look at this card. This video is still up on my channel, and I believe that. Trump is Canada's greatest economic ally. I still believe it. I know he is just torturing the hell out of us right now, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. But because of Donald Trump and his threats of tariffs, I really thought this country was waking up. And if you pay attention, you were thinking the same thing. I think the premier of my province all of a sudden saw a ray of light on the horizon. Finally, Canada is starting to see the benefits of Alberta and our natural resources, in particular natural gas and oil. But Mark Carney does not think that way. I call him the Lion King. I think that's what we should call him. Pure Polyev, feel free. I was going to do a different video this morning, but I saw this tweet from CBC Watcher. And credit to CBC Watcher for this whole video, because it's because of CBC Watcher I'm doing it. Carney is still having a hard time being clear when asked about pipelines, and that is absolutely true. He's got a quote from Carney in here, but I've got the video that is attached below this tweet. Let's take a look at it now.
Here in Alberta and Saskatchewan have been pushing hard for a pipeline to move oil and gas, particularly oil, across the country to refineries in Eastern Canada. If you were Prime Minister, would you support that?
I think there are a number of projects that are in the national interest, and they include energy projects that ensure as much as possible Canadian energy is used here at home, that it displaces, in the example that you just gave, displaces imports from the United States, from other countries. So in terms of moving projects like that forward, my government will look to do everything the federal government can do in order for them to move forward. We're a federation. There are other levels of government that need to come along. But again, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for Alberta. It's an opportunity for Canada to move forward.
So he's being vague there. He's not really answering the question. You may not be a reporter. I have been a reporter. I did a lot of interviews over the years. What would your next question be of Mr. Carney as he turned away at the end to try to avoid additional questions? The next question is, are you for or against pipelines? Yes or no, Mr. Carney, but he does not want to answer the question. Look at this tweet again from CBC Watcher. And by the way, I've got another tweet from CBC Watcher coming up again. And this one's got Jagmeet Singh. And this one really pushed me over the edge this morning because Carney thinks exactly what Jagmeet Singh is going to say in this next clip I show you. But CBC Watcher says no mention of pipelines, no mention of displacing coal abroad with ethical Canadian LNG. He's still the climate zealot he's always been. I've said it before in this channel, the best way to judge future behavior is past behavior. Mr. Carney is a climate zealot. Not only is he a climate zealot, folks, he is one of the biggest climate zealots in the world. You may think Al Gore is a climate zealot, not even close. This man, Mark Carney, is one of the leaders of the net zero movement, and that's who he is. That's why he won't answer questions on pipelines.
Society decides in the UK and Canada, many other places, but in UK and Canada, it's the law of the land to get to net zero by 2050. So the question that's asked is, well, what if we actually do that? What if companies change their energy mix? They get their emissions down. What's your exposure? Where are your problems on your balance sheet? Where are your assets on your balance sheet? How does that move? Have you thought it through? And that's a critical aspect that just helps to support the smoothing of that transition, whatever society actually implements. Because in the end, look, we can't stabilize the climate unless we get to net zero. And it's a simple, these are hard numbers. Your emissions are either A or B, they're going up or down. And if they're going down, are they going down consistent with the science? We anchor it in the science, the same science the UN and others use for the 1.5 degree objective. The UK has been at the forefront of innovation for centuries, brimming with ingenuity and a can-do spirit. It also houses the world's largest financial system. And by bringing them together, we can deliver the net zero world that you've demanded and that our future generations deserve. Society is putting tremendous value on achieving net zero. So the companies and those who invest in them and lend to them, who are part of the solution, will be rewarded. But those who are lagging behind and are still part of the problem will be punished, will be punished, will be punished.
Mark Carney is Mr. Net Zero. If you've watched any of his get-togethers, they show video of him doing little talks during his leadership campaign. Most of the people there are gray-haired. A lot of them have voted Liberal their whole life, too ignorant to know how dangerous this man is. He's Mr. Net Zero by 2050. A lot of those gray hairs won't even live that long. I'll be 85 years old. I probably won't live that long. Now, you're probably saying, John, I already knew this. Yeah, because you're informed. The people who are going to see Mark Carney and will vote for this man have no idea. And I'm hoping I can spread the message that this man is a threat to the country. Those people standing around Carney seem to think he's the one that's going to save the country from Donald Trump, but I believe he's the person that's going to tear the country apart. Alberta's insignificant. What do we have? 338 seats in the country. You need 170 for a majority, and most of those seats you need are in Ontario and Quebec. Quebec's really important. That's why Carney, when he's asked about pipelines on the West Coast, he says he'll put one through, but when he speaks in French in Quebec, he says he won't, because he's a liar. He's the Lion King. And the reason I'm doing this video as well this morning is because of this video I saw this morning of Jagmeet Singh. Now, the NDP are desperate right now. Nikki Ashton did a great takedown of Mr. Carney the other day. Mr. Poilievre should have taken notes. It was the best thing I've seen. If you haven't seen it, look it up. But Jagmeet Singh in a video yesterday said this, and this is exactly what Mark Carney thinks as well. That's why Alberta needs to get out of the country as soon as possible.
Together, we're going to fight every single day with our strength, with our hearts, with everything we have to defend your values, to defend Quebec values. We're going to ensure not only will these values never be on the negotiation table, we're going to put in place a law that ensures that these values, the Quebec culture, the nation of Quebec's culture, the language, French language, and our natural resources are not allowed to ever be on the negotiating table, and supply management. These are very important values that we hold dear. These will never be on the negotiating table by law with the new Democrat government. I want you to know you can count on us. We're going to continue to fight for you.
You hear what Singh says there. Would Carney do all of these things? I don't know. But listen to what he says here. A law put in place that ensures the values of Quebec culture, the nation of Quebec's culture, the language, French language, and our natural resources. I think that means that they will not allow pipelines to go through from Alberta. I believe that's sort of hidden in the message here. And then, of course, you got to get supply management in there because we've got to protect Quebec when it comes to the dairy industry, which is a point of contention for Donald Trump. The reason why your cheese and milk and everything in this country is so high is because of Quebec. Because the government panders to Quebec. Alberta means nothing. 37 seats here. The whole province goes blue. Conservative. The NDP and Liberal don't care about us. Quebec would starve to death if it wasn't for Alberta. We're running a deficit in Alberta. And we wouldn't be if we weren't shipping our money off to the east to keep them alive, to keep Quebec alive. And Quebec has the audacity to tell us we can't have a pipeline go through their province. And that's what Mark Carney's going to do. How important is Alberta to the rest of the country? Very important. We work hard here to support Canada. Here's James Moore, former minister in Stephen Harper's government.
Albertans on a per capita basis have given more to Confederation than any group of Canadians in this country by far, and they've done it for a couple, 2, 3 generations. And they have a federal government right now whose time is ticking that has actively campaigned against their province, against their core industry that is 1/3 of Canada's exports to the United States. They've blocked pipelines. They've put in place regulations that are designed to be poison pills to stop the export of Alberta oil to global markets so they can get world prices, so that we can bring that money back to Canada and create Canadian jobs and pay Canadian taxes to build Canadian hospitals, schools, and Canadian roads. Albertans want to do their part for Canada, and they have for a long time. So I think Danielle Smith and Albertans are prepared to do everything, including a maximalist approach, but a little bit of quid pro quo. They'll do their part. Canada should do its part for Alberta and the West as well. Open ports of access to the world so they can sell their products to the rest of the world. Fair's fair, and Alberta just wants a fair deal, and I think that's appropriate.
Alberta pulls its weight, way above its weight. And people like Mark Carney are going to climate change us into oblivion. They have no respect for us at all. Do you like your health care? Do you like the additional money you're getting for daycare that Trudeau announced yesterday? Thank the have provinces like Alberta. All we get is disrespect out here. And people are starting to catch on. Lots of talk about Alberta becoming the 51st state or leaving the country. Danielle Smith has taken it on the chin the last couple of days, and I think rightfully so for some of the things she's done. But we need to give her credit. She was on CBC, and she said quite outright she does not trust the East with our money.
And I must tell you, there's no circumstances under which I would acquiesce to a major tariff being put on Alberta energy to go to Ottawa so Ottawa could decide how it's distributed. And quite frankly, the trust is gone with the federal government. They canceled pipelines. They've banned exports off the West Coast. They have put in a net zero power reg. They talked about an emissions cap. So if you think I'm going to believe that they'll take $40 billion out of our economy and just trust them, that it's going to come back, I don't. So no, it's not on. We're not going to agree to that.
Well done, Madam Premier. You shouldn't trust the people out east with our money, and you certainly shouldn't trust Mark Carney. You need to start looking down the road and see what the game plan is if the Liberals get into power once again, because there are a lot of people in this country who are thinking that this man is telling the truth, and he's a liar, and he lies by omission, or he just doesn't answer the questions. And there's a problem with the people asking the questions as well in this country. He's been dodging people who will challenge him for quite some time. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Pierre Poilievre gets to talk to him in a debate. We need to elect a conservative government here, a majority conservative government. If only a minority gets in for the Conservatives, right after the throne speech, there will be a vote of non-confidence, and the Liberals, NDP, Bloc Québécois, and Green Party will join up, and we will be stuck with 5 more years of this anti-growth government that we've got right now, and we'll be stuck with Mr. Net Zero, Mark Carney. Thanks very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you liked it, share it. I'd like to see myself get up to 11,000 subscribers, so please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.